Let's come to seated. Easy seat. I like to prop up a little bit because it really helps your knees drop and it helps you be able to sit up tall and extend your spine. Checking in here, coming into the body, allowing everything that has gone on today, whatever you were working on, just allow that to leave the mind. Coming now full focus into yourself, preparing for tonight's yoga practice. Bringing your hands gently to your knees. Check in and make sure your hip points are grounding into the mat or the blanket. Your knees are falling downwards away from you towards the ground. Your low belly is just a little bit engaged to support the spine. Let's just do some shoulder rolls to open us up. So inhaling, bringing the shoulders forward and up towards the ears. Exhaling, allowing them to fall down the back and moving with this rhythm. Inhales up, exhales down. We'll be doing a couple poses that are good shoulder strengtheners and arm strengtheners today. So we'll focus a lot on warming up the shoulders a little bit here at the beginning. So a couple more shoulder rolls. And finally, on your last round, allow the shoulders to fall down the back, shoulder blades sliding down the back, not forgetting about the belly engagement. The chin is slightly tucked, the crown of the head extending towards the ceiling. Let's do a couple breaths here. 3-part breath. When you inhale, filling up through the belly, the ribs expand, and then the chest expands all the way to the top. Hold for 1 second, and then release from the chest, through the ribs, and through the belly. You can put your hand on your belly and your heart if you like, or you can keep them on your knees. So let's do 3 more rounds of 3-part breath. Inhaling belly, ribs, and chest. Hold. And exhaling chest, ribs, and belly. Really focusing on the breath as you exhale completely, and then begin the next inhale right away. Inhaling belly, ribs, and chest. Exhaling chest, ribs, and belly. 1 more like this, really filling up completely. Belly, ribs, and chest. Hold. And exhale from the chest, ribs, and belly, all the way out completely. Now let's begin to move our right hand towards our left knee. I'll mirror you. Right hand towards left knee. Inhale the chest forward and exhale, twisting towards your left, placing the left hand on the mat behind you. Keeping that spine long, inhaling again, extending through the spine, and on the exhale, twist a little bit deeper, maybe pulling gently on the knee. The gaze can turn over that left shoulder. Continue to breathe, settling into the twist, not forgetting to keep the belly engaged. Gaze is soft. 1 more deep inhale here, exhaling, looking forward, and then coming back out of it. Inhale here, and then begin to put the left hand onto the right knee. Inhale deeply, chest forward, and then the right hand reaches behind you. Inhaling deeply, exhaling, settling into the twist. Keeping the low belly engaged. Gazing over the right shoulder. Breathing gently. On the next inhale, gazing forward and coming back to center. Inhaling the arms up over the head. You can clasp them like so, or you can just keep them shoulder width apart if this is not accessible for you, or you can open up a little bit like that. Deep inhale here, extending the arms upward, and on the exhale, allow the body to begin bending over to the right. Gaze up under the left hand arm. Inhaling through center, and then begin to point your clasped fingers over to the left. Gazing up under the right arm. Let's do that round a couple more times. Inhaling to center, exhaling, allowing the body to gently tilt. Inhaling to center, exhaling other side. Just continue this. 3 more sets, both sides. Inhaling up, exhaling, stretch. Inhaling up, exhaling, stretch to the other side. Couple more times with your breath. And just like in our entire practice today, try to measure the length of your breath to the length of the movement. So using your entire length of your breath, exhaling completely. And then begin moving up towards the center when you begin your inhale. Maybe one more on each side. Feeling that rib opening. And exhaling, coming back, hands to knees here. Feeling the impact that those stretches and that twisting had on your spine. And keeping that alignment in your mind as we move through the rest of class today. So let's come to a table position. Placing the hands directly under the shoulders, the knees directly under the hips. We'll have a flat back here. Gaze is about a foot in front of your fingertips. Fingers are spread wide, just like in any position where we have our hands down on the mat. Fingers are spread wide. We're gripping the mat with all of our fingertips. Most of our weight is in the base of the pointer finger here. That you'll often hear people say, put the weight, distribute the weight evenly into the 4 corners of the hand. And so that basically means don't put all the weight on the base of the wrist. That can, lead to wrist injuries, especially if you're one of the people that spends a lot of their day like me typing and using a mouse. So we have to be really mindful that we're not putting too much weight into the base of the wrist. There's a lot of little tiny bones and ligaments there that are vulnerable. So once you've got yourself in your nice aligned table position, begin to inhale, dropping the chest, dropping the belly, the chest straightens forward for your cow pose, and exhale, tucking the tailbone and pushing the back up for cat, letting the head to fall. Inhaling cow, and exhaling cat. Following the movement of your breath, let's do this for a couple more rounds, just warming up the spine here. Inhaling, really pulling the chest through the arms, gaze is upward. And exhaling, pressing into the mat, lifting the back towards the ceiling, allowing the neck to relax. Inhaling cow, and exhaling cat. One more round here, and then when you're done, coming back to center or table position. We'll just do a little bit of wrist warm up, which is good when you're planning on doing a lot of exercises where your body weight is held in your hands. So we'll just begin by rotating our body around our wrists, maybe in the clockwise direction, maintaining that even distribution of weight throughout the 4 corners of the hands. It might shift around a little bit as you do this, but just moving around in this circular motion here and feeling the stretch and opening happen in the wrists and the hands. Maybe move around 1 or 2 more times here, and then change directions and come around the other way, warming up the wrists a little bit. getting out any kinks that have built up throughout the day. Coming back to center. If you'd like to, you could place the tops of your hands on the mat, maybe one at a time, trying the left first, and do a couple of circles like that. Slide my hand down like that. If that's really sensitive for you, just be very gentle and don't put too much weight on it. Switching sides. I find that my right wrist is always a little more sensitive than my left, and I suspect it has to do with using a mouse all day. So, you know, even small things, if you do it all day and repeat it all day and have bad form, it can impact you. So, just a note on wrist health. All right, so let's get ready for our first downward facing dog. So, pushing the hips back onto the heels, tucking the toes under, keeping those hands shoulder width apart, and begin to press back and weight into the toes, lifting the hips, and then finally allowing the heels to sink towards the mat, keeping them slightly off the mat if your hamstrings are tight, which most people's are. So I would just recommend everybody keep your heels a little bit off the mat so that you aren't compromising the straightness of your spine here. Just breathing a couple times in downward facing dog, maybe straightening the left leg and bending the right. Getting a stretch in the left hamstring, maybe straightening the right leg and bending the left. Get a stretch on the other side. Move around a little bit, you know, get those ankle pops out. And then settle into stillness for 3 breaths. 3, 2, and 1. Gaze forward between the hands and slowly walk the feet up towards the hands. Inhaling for a flat back with the hands on the calves. Exhale to fold. Grab elbow to elbow and just hang here for a couple breaths, swaying left and right. Allow the head to be completely relaxed, the neck completely relaxed. Feel all of that compression, you know, loosening up through the spine. You've been standing upright, sitting upright all day. And then when you're ready, slowly begin to roll up to a stand, starting at the base of the spine and ending with the shoulders and the neck and the head, coming to a Tadasana pose. We'll either have our toes to touch and a very small gap between the heels, or we'll have our feet hips width apart, just making sure the outer edges of the feet are parallel. So that will often leave you just slightly pigeon-toed. So whatever is best for you, whatever is good for your hips. We want to be lifting the quad muscles away from the kneecaps. We want to find a neutral pelvis here. Engaging the core. Lifting the chest towards the sky, allowing the shoulder blades to drop down the back. Palms open forward. Chin just slightly tucked so that the crown of the head raises towards the ceiling. Gaze is soft. Traditional drishti here would be the tip of the nose. So if you're interested in trying to practice with the traditional drishti, you can gaze at the tip of the nose or just softly somewhere in front of you. Breathing here in your Tadasana, remembering all of these alignment points as we move throughout the rest of our poses today. So let's do a couple sun salutations and we'll meet back in Tadasana in between each of them. Inhaling, arms up overhead, gaze up. Exhale to fold. Inhaling, flat back, placing the hands on the outside of the calves or the quads or whatever it takes to get yourself to a flat back. Exhaling to fold completely down. Plant the hands, bend the knees if you need to plant the hands firmly on the mat, and then step back 1 foot at a time into a high plank pose. So for our Vinyasa, which is high plank, low plank, and then upward facing dog, you can either do that full sequence that I just showed you, or you can bring your knees to the mat. So let's just do this mini version right now for our first example. Knees to the mat. Exhaling, Knees, chest, and chin to the mat, keeping the hands planted nicely, elbows in. Inhaling, allow the belly to come to the mat. Chest forward, pushing gently up. Baby cobra. Exhaling, turn the toes under, push back and knees, and then hips up and back for downward facing dog. And that's your, mini vinyasa option if you get tired at any point. Or there's always just skipping it. You can just hold plank and come back to downward facing dog. So breathing here for 3, 2, and 1. Gaze forward. Move your feet to your hands, however you'd like. Step forward or hop forward. Inhaling, flat back. Feet are in Tadasana. Exhale to fold. And inhaling all the way up, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center, down by the side. We'll do this 3 more times. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling to fold. Movement to breath. Inhaling, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands. Step or hop back into a high plank to low plank. This is our vinyasa. Inhaling, upward facing dog. Only the tops of the feet and the hands touching the mat. Exhaling, let the toes push up and back, downward facing dog. Breathe here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gaze forward. Step or hop up, feet to hands. Inhaling for a flat back. Exhale to fold. All the way down. Inhaling all the way up. Arms up. Hands over heart center and down by their side. Tadasana. 1 more like this. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale to fold. Inhaling, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands on the mat. If you're jumping back, land in a low plank. If you're stepping back, just step into high plank. So the jump back would be something like this, where you're landing in a low plank. You're kind of using your elbows as a shock absorber so your back doesn't take it. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhaling, downward facing dog. Breathe here for 5 breaths. I'm going to adjust my lighting a little bit. Try to get some more on me. 2, and 1. Gazing forward. On the exhale, moving the feet to the hands. Inhaling for a flat back. And exhaling, fold all the way down. Inhaling, slowly stand up. Arms up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. And down by the sides. We'll move into our second flow here. So let's inhale, arms up. Sitting back into a chair pose. We'll want to check in, make sure our back is straight, make sure we can see our toes over our knees here. Deep inhale here, exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, flat back, exhale, planting the hands, step or hop back. Do your vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Inhaling, look forward. We're just going to move our feet to our hands again. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. And inhale, roll up. Hands over heart center. Let's plant the right foot. Open up to the left. Left outer edge of the foot parallel with the back of the mat. Bend into a warrior 2. Deep inhale here. Exhale, reaching forward. Placing the elbow on that right knee, adjusting yourself as you need to, really trying to open up this right hip, pushing the knee towards the outer pinky toe here. Let's reach straight up, gaze up, if you find this balance easy. Inhale here, exhale, release the elbow from that front knee, maybe kind of glue it to the inside of that calf. And on the exhale, begin to straighten that front knee for triangle pose. Keeping a long spine, the opening is happening in the front hip. Gaze is up if you can. If you feel flexible today, maybe bringing that hand to the floor or a block. Otherwise, just try to keep it on the calf. It's actually kind of harder here because you're being forced to support your body weight with your core rather than using a crutch. So this is good. Inhale here, exhale, bending back into the knee. Deep inhale, exhale up. Warrior two. Standing those hands to the mat, stepping back into a high plank, going through your vinyasa, and meeting in downward facing dog. 2 deep breaths here, filling up in the belly, ribs, and chest, and exhaling through the mouth, completely filling up through the belly, ribs, and chest, exhaling completely through the mouth. Inhale, looking forward. Exhale, move feet to hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. And inhale, rolling all the way up. Hands to heart center. We'll step open to our right this time. And then step to the other side. Open to our right this time. Left foot toes are pointing forward. Right back foot parallel with the outer edge. The back of the mat, bending into that front knee. Front knee is aiming over the left pinky toes. We're keeping this back leg engaged, not letting it be weak. Opening the arms, gazes over the left fingertips. Deep inhale here, exhale, bringing that elbow to the knee, and open straight up. Gaze up if you feel comfortable and balanced here. Inhaling and exhaling. Glue that back of the hand to the inner calf on the left leg. Deep inhale and exhale, begin to straighten that front leg, shifting into a triangle pose. Keeping your arms outstretched and strong. Coming to as deep of a triangle pose as you feel comfortable with. Really engaging that left hip. And allowing that right hip to remain somewhat neutral. So my right hip is still kind of, my knee, my toe, my hip is all pointing in the same direction, whereas on my left side, it's rotating open. Breathing here, exhaling, bending back into that left knee. Deep inhale, exhale, inhaling, coming back up, warrior two. Deep inhale, exhale, spin the hands down, step back into a high plank, and go through your vinyasa. Meeting in downward facing dog. Breathing here for a moment. 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're just going to bring our knees right down to the mat into a table pose. First, we're going to do a little bit of a shoulder stretch here, maybe just a little bit of relief after an active partial flow here. So let's keep our knees and our left hand planted on the mat under the shoulder and begin to inhale the right arm up, opening to the right. Feeling a little bit of a twist here, keeping the hips aligned, and then exhale, bringing that hand behind the left hand, underneath the body, and lean down and put the weight onto that right shoulder. You can move around so that you feel a little bit of a stretch here if you don't right away. It's also a good twist, so it's good either way. I don't always get a really deep shoulder stretch in this, but I still like the pose. If you want to, you can inhale your left arm up and bring it around to grasp the top of the right thigh. Gazing out to the left or slightly up if you'd like. Breathing into this twist, feeling that shoulder stretch. Inhaling the arm back up. If you did bring it around, planting it on the mat. Untangling yourself back to a table pose. And set up for the other side. Inhaling the left arm up. Twist. Exhaling, thread the needle underneath the right arm. And come to whatever position in this pose that you took on the other side. So if you did raise the arm up and do a half bind, gripping the top of the leg, then go ahead and do that here. Just breathing in this pose, allowing the shoulder to stretch a bit. Inhaling the arm up if you had it across, planting it, coming back into a table position, or coming to a supported side plank. So let's bring most of our weight into our right hand. You can reposition it slightly under your chest if you'd like to. Begin to kickstand out that right leg here. So the movement of my right leg is like this. Weight into the right hand, kickstanding out the right leg, beginning to straighten the left leg and planting it on the mat so that your hand, your knee, and your back foot are all in a straight line here. Adjust so that your hand is under your shoulder, and inhaling the arm up towards the sky. Gaze up if you feel balanced here. If you'd like to take a full side plank, go ahead and do that now. But we'll just breathe in this supported side plank for this round. Don't worry, we'll get to do something challenging, actually, if this is not challenging for you. But you can always make it challenging, so take a full side plank if this is too easy. Inhaling and exhaling here. Remembering to engage the core. Even in a supported side plank, you have to keep the core engaged. Exhaling, bring that left hand back down. Tucking under the right leg, extending for a high plank. Exhaling for low plank. Inhaling, upward facing dog. And exhaling, downward facing dog. Deep inhale and exhale here. Bringing the knees back down to the mat. Setting up for supported side plank on the other side. So you might be able to see what I did with my leg a little bit better on this side. So we'll bring the weight into the left hand. Kickstand out that left leg so that it helps support you and prevent you from losing your balance. Extending the right leg. Bringing the weight into the left hand, the left knee, the right foot. And inhaling, extending that arm up. A nice straight line of energy through both arms. Gaze up. Tuck that chin slightly to extend, lengthen the neck, allowing the shoulder to fall away from the ear just a bit. Keeping the core engaged. And if you went into full side plank on the other side, do it on this side too. Breathing here. Inhaling and exhaling. Engaging the core, engaging the leg. On the next inhale, looking down. Exhale, planting that hand. Stepping both feet back into a high plank. Go through your vinyasa and meet us once again in a downward facing dog. We'll breathe here for 3, 2, and 1. Let's inhale into a high plank. Exhaling, bring the knees down. We're going to come into a dolphin, and then we'll be doing some forearm planks. So for dolphin pose, we'll bring our elbows down to the mat. So I like to turn, the smiles of the elbows or the creases of the elbows forward first, and then begin to bend and place the forearms on the mat. I have my lower arm and hands are like 2 parallel lines here. Hands are still spread nice and wide. Inhaling, exhaling, tuck the toes and press the hips up and back. And begin to walk those feet just a little bit closer to the elbows. Now, if you have kind of tight shoulders, you can actually just kind of grip 2 hands together like this. That is okay. But if you are trying to eventually do a forearm stand, it's much easier to balance with the hands like this. So if you want to train yourself to do that now, it's a good time. It really stretches the shoulders a bit. Inhaling and exhaling here. On the next exhale, bringing the chest forward, the gaze forward, maybe stepping back a bit into a forearm plank. Inhaling and exhaling here. begin to bring the right arm, the right hand more towards the center here, so that your upper arm or your lower arm is a bit at an angle to help support you. And then pivot yourself, rotate yourself out so that your weight is on the outside of the right foot and on the forearm. Right forearm and outside of right foot. Inhaling the arm up. This is hard. Engaging the core. Gaze is up if you feel like you've got good balance here. You can bring that left foot in front of you if you want a little bit of extra support, or another option would be to just gently come to the knees. Let's hold in our low side plank here. Inhaling, exhale, let's touch the hips to the mat. Exhale up as high as you can with the hips. Let's do that 3 times. 2, touch the mat, up as high as you can. 1 more, touch the mat, up as high as you can. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Bring the other forearm down, knees to the mat wide, and sit back into a child's pose. Just a little tiny break here. When you're ready, get set up for downward facing dog again. Pushing the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhaling and exhaling. Bringing the knees back down to the mat. Coming to forearms again, getting ready for dolphin pose for the second side. Gripping the mat, maybe adjusting your arms if it didn't work very well on the last side. Maybe I need to widen my arms a little bit so that my hands don't come in. Tucking the toes, strong shoulders, strong arms. Pushing the hips up and back and straightening the legs. You can keep your knees a little bit bent here if it makes it easier for you. Walking the feet in so that you are in as deep of a dolphin pose as you can manage. You're gazing back towards your toes. The head and neck can be relaxed. Core is always engaged. Feeling that stretch in the shoulders. Deep inhale and exhale. Moving the chest forward. Moving the feet back a little bit so that you're in a forearm plank. Adjust that left hand inward slightly. And then pivot yourself to the outside of the left foot. Forearm side plank. Inhale the arm up. Hold strong in this pose. Flexed feet. Glued together. Upper legs engaged. Core engaged. Come down if you get tired. Use whatever version you used on the other side. Really pressing into the mat with the elbow and the hand. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Tap the hip. Inhale up. Tap the hip down. Inhale high, tap the hip. 1 more time, inhaling high, tap the hip. Inhale up, and exhale, coming back to your forearm plank, and bringing the knees down and sitting back for a child's pose. Take a couple of breaths in your child's pose, allowing your hips to sit back onto your feet, allowing the forehead to rest on the mat. When you're ready, begin to tuck the toes again and come and meet us in a downward facing dog. Inhaling and exhaling here. If you need to stay in your child's pose for another couple breaths, we'll stay in downward facing dog for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's inhale our right leg high, keeping all 5 toes pointing down towards the ground. Exhale, bringing the knee forward towards the head, stepping the foot in between the hands here. Let's come up into a crescent pose with our hands in heart center. We won't stay here long. Just making sure that the right hip is pulling back, left hip forward. You can have your knee slightly bent if you want to. Inhale here. Exhale, begin to bring the weight into the right foot and try your best to step up and bring that knee into the chest. Okay, this is the time that you'll want to grab your strap. So I should have mentioned that earlier. I apologize. Grab your strap or whatever you're using as a strap. You can start back from crescent if you'd like to, but you either step up and then lift the left leg or try to float the left leg up to the chest. If this is as far as you'd like to go today and this is challenging for you to balance, you know, you can use a wall or something to hold yourself up. But just stay here, hugging that knee into the chest, focusing on wrist, lifting the chest high, lengthening the spine, pulling the shoulders back. The lifted foot should be engaged, so either pointed or flexed, or somewhere in between. If you want to take this a step further, grab your strap, put it around the ball of the foot, grabbing the strap with your left hand, and then extending the leg out straight, using that strap to kind of serve as a longer arm. If you can do this pose completely without the strap, then go ahead and do that. But I like this prop for this pose in particular. Inhaling here, the legs straight, feeling that stretch, spine is long. Exhaling, begin to open that leg out to the left. Gaze is still forward or over your right shoulder. If you're just holding your knee, then just bring the knee out to the left. Right hip point forward, left leg open. Inhaling, exhaling, bringing it back to the center. Inhale. For an extra challenge, let's release the strap. Keep that leg straight. Hands on hips. For 3, 2, use the core. Lift it a little bit higher. 1, let's bend it. Come down to standing on both feet and then step back or step back in one smooth motion into crescent. Hands over heart center. Exhale, planting the hands, going through your flow, and meeting back in downward facing dog. Keeping your strap handy for the other side. Inhaling and exhaling here. Inhaling, begin to lift the right foot. Oops, we just did that side. Lifting the left foot. All 5 toes pointing towards the ground. Exhaling, pull that left foot through between the hands. We'll transition however you'd like to standing on the left foot with the right knee hugged into the chest. Let me turn this way. We got the right knee hugged into the chest. We have our strap handy. We're either flexing or pointing that foot to keep it completely engaged. Balancing, shifting around to keep balance on the left foot. If you did this on the other side, go ahead and put the strap around the ball of the right foot. Use a wall or whatever you need to try to keep your balance. Inhaling and exhaling, continuing to breathe, and using the strap to straighten that right leg forward. Straightening the standing leg as much as you can as well. You can keep this bent a little bit too. It's perfectly fine. As long as we're making sure to keep our shoulders down our back and keeping our spine long. Deep inhale here, exhale, begin to allow that right leg to open towards the right, as far as it'll go. You can gaze over your left shoulder if you'd like a balance challenge. Inhaling and exhaling. Begin to bring that foot back towards the center. For an extra challenge, release strap, point the toe, lift it as high as you can, engaging through the core. For 3, 2, lift a little bit higher, and 1. Smoothly step back into a crescent lunge. Did that on the other side. Inhaling and exhaling, planting the hands, stepping back into a high plank, low plank, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Breathing here for 5 breaths. Good job. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhaling, gaze forward. We're going to come to standing with our feet kind of wide apart. So if you want to jump, if you want to hop up with your feet a little bit wide, go ahead and try to do that. Otherwise, just step up your feet more than hip width apart here, because we'll be prepping for a malasana or squat. But let's stand up straight first. I'll face you. Stand up straight first with our feet more than hip width apart. Hands on the hips, inhaling the chest forward. And exhaling, begin to fold, keeping a flat back for as long as you can. And then when you reach the point where you can't keep a flat back anymore, just allow the head to hang. Breathing here. Shoulders away from the ears. Tilting the tailbone towards the sky. For 3, 2, and 1. Now bringing the hands down, allowing them to hang, touch the mat, elbow to elbow, either way. Just swing back and forth for a moment, opening up the hips a bit. Now allow the hands to come straight, touching the mat or hanging as far down as they'll go. Turn the toes out and heels in just slightly. Bringing the hands straight in line with your upper body. And as you exhale, begin to lower the hips down, arms come up towards the ceiling. A Malasana pose with arms up. This takes actually more strength than you would think to keep the arms straight. Allow the shoulders to fall away from the ears. Deep inhale, pressing the knees apart. Exhale, hands to heart center. Pressing the elbows into the insides of the knees here. And just enjoy your Malasana squat for a moment. Lifting the chest forward, tucking the chin slightly, pressing the elbows into the insides of the knees for a hip stretch. Breathing here. When you're ready, using your hands or whatever means, slowly lower yourself to seated. And we'll set up for some back bending. So let's come to our back. Slowly bringing the feet in towards the hips, keeping the feet parallel, knees slightly apart, allowing the head to relax completely on the mat. Won't smash it on the mat like I just did. Palms facing downward, shoulders away from the ears. We'll be coming into 3 bridges here, or if you'd like to do a passive supported bridge, you can place a block or something up under your hips here and just relax in supported bridge for the rest of the time that we're doing back bends. Otherwise, heels in towards the hips. Inhaling here, exhaling, flatten out the spine, flatten out the curve in the low back while you engage the belly. And inhale, pressing into the feet, lifting the hips towards the ceiling. Engaging the quads and releasing the glutes. If you'd like, walking the shoulders up under your back, reaching towards the heels. Breathing here for 5, 4, 3, pressing into the feet, 2, and 1. Slowly lowering the hips down to the mat. Windshield wipering the knees back and forth just a little bit. Don't bring them into the chest yet. Prepping for the next bridge pose. Exhaling, engage the core. Inhaling, lifting the hips high. Walking the shoulders under. And breathing here. You letting the legs do the work. Maybe pressing the chest towards the wall behind you with this motion of pressing into the feet. Breathing here. Inhaling, exhaling, lift the hips a little bit higher and release the hips down to the mat. Wiggling out the knees. Final bridge. Inhaling deeply, exhaling, engage the core. Inhale, lifting the hips towards the ceiling, walking the shoulders under. Let's make this one the fullest expression of the pose that you can do. Pressing the feet into the mat. Lift the hips towards the ceiling. Move the chest towards the wall behind you. Releasing any tension in the glutes, allowing the quads to do the work. Breathing here for 3, 2, and 1. Exhaling, releasing the hips down to the mat. Move the knees side to side to release any tension in the low back. Take a couple breaths here, just allowing the spine to release. And now we'll begin just a little bit of core work to counteract that back bending. So with our feet flat on the floor at first, let's inhale and exhale, reach the hands forward towards the feet, lifting the upper body off of the mat. Gaze is at the upper corner of the room. Don't crunch the neck or let it hang too much. We're just engaging the core here, using it to lift our body up. Inhale, exhale, maybe bring the knees in towards the chin or the forehead. Maintaining engagement here. Inhale, exhale, extend the left leg. Keeping the forehead towards the right knee. Inhale, exhale, switch the legs. Keeping those hands engaged. Inhaling, exhale to switch. Let's do 5 more. Inhaling, exhale to switch. Chest is lifting. Inhaling, exhale to switch. Moving with your breath. 2 more on both sides. 1. Exhale, switch. 2. Left side. Deep inhale. Exhale, grabbing the knees into the chest. And rolling around a little bit here. Releasing the feet to the mat. You can roll up to a seat or come up to a seat, whatever way you would like, whatever works for you. And we'll set up for cow face pose or Gomukhasana. So you might need a strap again. So grab whatever prop you're using. You can just remain in an easy seat, legs like this, or you can do the Gomukhasana legs, which will be kind of pulling. Let's start with the right leg, right heel towards the left hip, and then on top of that would be the left heel towards the right hip. So we're stacking our knees on top of each other like this. The heels are moving towards the hips. It doesn't have to be perfectly stacked. Whatever works for you, as long as it's not hurting in a bad way. It's a good hip stretch. So you can kind of grab your feet and wiggle them into position here. Gomukhasana legs. Then we'll grab our strap with our left hand, because our left leg's on top. Inhaling our left arm up straight, and then exhaling it down like you're going to pat yourself on the back. I'll turn around here. And then begin to work this right arm. So I got my left hand up here, patting myself on the back, my elbows pointing right towards the ceiling. Beginning to turn my right thumb down, bringing it up and under, and grabbing for my prop behind my back. And maybe scooching my hands as close together as I can. And my right elbow is pointing down. And then you simply breathe in this pose, allowing that shoulder stretch to sink in. If you are flexible enough to reach your hands together, you can move into that full expression there. Keeping the straight back, breathing here deeply. And if you'd like to, you can begin to fold forward on the exhale, bringing the forehead towards the knee. Breathing there, feeling that right shoulder opening. Take a deep inhale, come up if you were leaning forward, and exhale, releasing, shaking out the shoulders, releasing the legs, shaking them out a little bit, and then we'll set up for the other side. So left leg underneath, right leg on top, scooching yourself into whatever version of this pose is good for you. And again, if you'd like to just continue sitting in easy cross-legged seat, go ahead and do that too. Grabbing your strap with your right hand, lifting it high. Exhale, pat yourself on the back with the right hand. Left arm opens outward, Thumb points down, come around back, grabbing your strap from below with the left hand. And walk your hands as close together as you can. And then allow there to be tension in between the hands and feel that stretch in the shoulders. Back is straight, neck is aligned. Breathing here. If you folded forward on the exhale, go ahead and do that on this side. Bring the forehead to the knee. It's always one side that's easier than the other one. Breathing here, allowing that shoulder stretch to sink in. On the next inhale, lifting up, release the hands, release the legs, shake it out. You can use your strap for this coming pose as well if you'd like to. So we'll do staff pose. So planting the hands flat on both sides of the hips. If you have a long torso or short arms, you can use your fists to give you a little bit of extra length in the arms. And we'll use our hands pressing into the mat to straighten the spine. Chin slightly tucked, feet are engaged, toes pulling back towards the knees. Long spine, breathing here in staff pose. Begin to bring the left foot into the inside of the right leg, pushing that knee downwards, both hip points remaining on the mat. If you'd like to use your strap, you can loop it around the right foot. We'll turn our torso towards the right leg with the inhale, and exhale, fold, grabbing your strap if you'd like to use that. Keeping the shoulders away from the ears, pulling yourself down, and feeling a good stretch in that right hamstring. With the inhale, you extend your chest forward, and with the exhale, you sink deeply into the pose. Breathing here. Keeping that leg engaged. Never straying from the breath. On the next inhale, flat back. And exhale, coming all the way up. Setting up to switch legs. Straightening out the left leg. Bending the right knee. Right foot in to the thigh of the left leg. Inhaling, lift the chest. Facing the torso towards the left leg. And exhale, begin to fold using your strap if you'd like to. Inhaling, pull the chest forward, and exhale, fold completely, as deeply as you'll go. Breathing here. It's easy to focus on the breath when you're doing the difficult poses and the balance poses, because if you lose your focus, you'll fall out of it. But when we begin to slow down and do stretches like this, it's much easier to let your mind stray. So the real work goes in to keeping your focus when we're doing these slower ending poses. So remember to come back to the breath. Focus on allowing the stretch to settle into the body. Inhaling, chest forward. And exhale all the way up to seated. We'll do one more hip opener before we go into our Shavasana. So let's do garland pose. So bringing the soles of the feet to meet in front of you. You can bring them, if this is really tough, you can move them a little bit further away from you. Soles of the feet together, allowing the knees to fall out on both sides. Grabbing the feet with the thumbs into kind of the ball of the foot area or the arch, and try to open the feet like a book. It's sort of an ankle stretch too, and it helps to allow those hips to open. You can use that tension that you have with your feet here to lift the chest forward, keeping the chin slightly down, and breathe here. Feeling that stretch in the hips. Another deep inhale and exhale, allowing the elbows to come out. Allow the forehead to fall down towards the feet. You can use your elbows to kind of press your legs open a little bit if you want to. Breathing here. Inhaling, chest forward. Exhaling, rise all the way up. Straightening out the legs, bringing the knees together. Shake them out if you need to. And slowly lowering back into your Shavasana. Allowing the feet to be wide, falling out open, tucking each shoulder blade up under the back, palms towards the ceiling, arms slightly away from the body. Allowing the breath to slow, chin slightly tucked. Feeling the relaxation flood through the body as your breath slows to its natural pace. Feeling the weight of the heels and the calves, relaxing into the mat. Feeling the hips and the back supported by the mat. Feeling the shoulders, elbows, back of the hands, supported by the mat. Feeling the back of the head against the mat. Completely relaxing in your Shavasana. Remain in your Shavasana here. And I'm just going to read a little bit from the Yamas and the Niyamas book. So it's, a weird time right now. We're all kind of cooped up. And sometimes it can be easy to sort of lose track of what really matters, So I'll just read a little bit out of this as you remain in your Shavasana. We can have hearts that are full of love for others and intentions to love that are pure. But the truth is, we will express that love for others by treating them the same way we treat ourselves. Love lies at the core of nonviolence and begins with our love of self. Not a love that is egocentric, but a love that is forgiving and lenient. A love that sees the humor in the imperfections and accepts the fullness of the human expression. Only when we find this love for all parts of ourselves can we begin to express fully the love that wells up inside us for others. Finding this love for all parts of ourselves means we have to forgive ourselves. Without forgiveness, we carry guilt like a heavy burden around our hearts. Guilt holds our love for self and others hostage and keeps us bound to a one-sided expectation of the human experience. So with that, begin to bring small movements back to your hands and your feet. Maybe reaching the arms up above the head, extending the legs long and stretching, making your way onto your side. Slowly come up to a seated position. Keeping your eyes closed if you would like to. Once you're in your seated position, let's take 3 deep breaths together here. Inhaling, arms up. Deeply exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling deeply. And exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling deeply. And hands to heart center. The light in me salutes the light in every one of you. Namaste.